All right.
Okay. Oh, of course I don't have that PowerPoint open because I'm an idiot. I'm sorry. Oh, we're recording.
It's okay.
How do I not have that presenter's deck open yet? Okay. All right, so I'll go ahead and throw that up by sharing my screen.
Shanna, do you want, there's no point on throwing up the link yet because we're
Yeah.
still the only people in it.
Yep.
Okay.
Poor
I'm
soul
gonna.
who shows up first. We're gonna be so eager.
Okay, I'm gonna run away for about 2 seconds. I'll be right
Okay,
back. Well, we'll
sounds
go for
good.
like 30 seconds.
Okay.
Do you guys, so in my part, I'm going to be asking people to raise their hand if they know something.
Mm-hmm.
If they don't know how to raise their hand, is there a way that somebody could write into the chat to tell them how to do it?
Yeah, I mean, is the point of it so you're getting feedback from people just
Yeah.
as a check-in? So
Yes.
what I always do is I say, let me know somehow through Zoom if if everybody understands, and you can even be specific. You could say
Okay.
that, like, hey, so come off mute and say yes, or raise your hand in the participants window, or say something in chat. Just anything to let me know.
Okay,
like
that's good.
covers all the bases, because
Yeah.
on the off chance someone's like on their phone or something versus some other medium, like one tool may be more accessible
That's
for them
true.
than the other. So
Good idea. Thank you.
Okay, deep breaths.
4 seconds in through the nose, hold for 2, exhale through the mouth for 6.
And there was a psychiatrist talking about police de-escalation for something that my company does a lot of that right now. And there was a video of a psychiatrist talking about that, and how, like, what taking a deep breath, holding it, and letting it out does for you.
Mm-hmm.
Like what it, even though when you take a deep breath, it kind of gets the heart to race a little. When you breathe out, that's when it slows everything down. So, oh, hey, we're talking about deep breathing.
We were literally trying to calm ourselves down by breathing in for 4, holding for 2.
Then you just do our meditation.
Exactly.
Yeah. So thank you. That was really nice, by the way. After we did that, I was like, oh, I'm a lot calmer.
I didn't know, like, the reason why we did it that way was because there was 3 of us, and one of us is in a different country.
Mm-hmm.
So we just decided to present it all from my machine, and we needed each other to moderate. So I was like, how do I moderate for, like, because it seemed like what we should do is start with the food or start with the exercise, and then I'll go be last. But then if I'm going to be presenting, then so we ended up starting with the relaxed part. But oh well, it's all good.
Well, that was definitely a nice thing for me.
Do you guys know you're recording at the moment?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
We thought we'd just go ahead and do that so we didn't forget.
Well, yeah, don't be nervous. You're the last one. Yeah.
Yay.
No pressure.
Christina, did you get our documents okay from the folder?
I opened the original size. Why have you taken over my entire screen? Exit full screen. I opened up the Google Documents. There were many.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay, which one?
Yeah, we're really going to put you to work
start with.
You definitely would probably want the PowerPoint example and the handout.
Okay, I'll open it.
Those are the first 2 that you would probably want to start with.
Oh, should we download these?
Yeah.
If you open them in Google Docs, it's just like a
I
preview.
definitely recommend downloading the PowerPoint.
Okay, well, let's just do the whole folder then, right?
Yep.
That sounds good. Do you happen to have Storyline 360 on your computer?
I have it on a different computer.
Ah.
Oh, cool. Well, you'll know what we're
I
talking
am
about.
on my Mac, and that is on a borrowed PC, so.
Yeah, they still don't make it for Mac.
You have to run like Parallels or something.
Yeah.
I'm not going to pretend that my Mac is a PC. But I've done a bunch of storyline work, so I'll be able to follow along and know exactly what you're talking about.
Awesome.
Right.
Right. Well, we definitely have it set up so people who do not have Storyline can still follow along. But if anyone does have Storyline 360, we provided a file so that no one had to wait for an import.
Yeah, it takes a little while to download the whole folder, so you might want to suggest they start with that.
Right.
And if you wanted to do like a quick link in the chat, then they can just have that link right there. Oh, it says there's 7 participants.
Right. Yep. People are starting to join in. We are posting a link in the chat. And we keep posting it as people keep coming in just to make sure that it's arriving for everyone. To help you follow along with some of the things that we're going to be doing today, there are some files available for you on a Google Drive. You can either download the entire folder or you can just download a couple of the items one at a time. The PowerPoint example and the handout are referred to the most.
So has anyone been doing the scavenger hunt I'm curious in the 2 minutes before we start if anyone's trying to find alt text on a website.
Thank you, Dan.
Sounds like maybe not yet.
We haven't started yet and we're already giving him so many things to do.
Super. And now to anyone who has not had a hello. Thanks for joining us. We have a few files available for you to follow along and help participate. If you want to, we keep posting a link in the chat as you come in. Hopefully that'll show up for you.
I just went to my favorite website, which is called Canvas.
Well, I know your answer on this one.
And I went to the homepage of our course, and it appears that this does not have alt text image.
Right. Yep, I noticed that as well when I was looking for a good example. I thought, hey, let me try Canvas or let me try UC Denver.
That's interesting.
You don't have to try that one.
You
I
know,
will save the suspense.
This is Joni. You know, now,
Hi, Joni.
yeah, because I'm too lazy to do what you just said. But now, when you upload an image to Canvas, it forces you to add an alt tag. So all the new things that I've new visuals in the last academic year, it's forced me to enter something in the alt tag area.
Right.
So
and
an
that's,
update that is very good.
Yep, and that would actually most likely be because some new updates have been made to, I don't know if it's exactly Section 508 or just its enforcement, but recently we've had to make a few changes at work as well because of new regulations and updates. So you'll see a lot of materials are starting to embed that into it, and that's new PowerPoint 2016 and on. You have the opportunity to add captions to audio.
I was gonna say, if you go to my personal portfolio site, I'm crazy about accessibility. I'm super into it, but actually when I learned about 508 compliance, alt text is kind of going away in favor of all long descriptions. So while they are related, they are also a little bit.
That's interesting.
So
all right.
most of my stuff, I just try to name my images meaningfully, rather than because after watching people that are non-sighted go through sites and listen to the reader, alt text can really slow them down, and so you only want to use alt text for things that are super meaningful. So for example, on Joni's little illustration, that's more entertaining. It doesn't really serve a purpose to tell the story of what's being presented on the page, so she's okay with that.
So should we go ahead and get
All
started?
right. Yep, absolutely. Okay. Well, thank you everybody for coming. Looks like we have a good number of participants. Hello, how are you? As you can see on our screen right here, this is Access to Accessibility, Diversifying Your PowerPoint, your training with PowerPoint. And if you have not done so yet, we do have some materials to help you follow along. And we have put a direct link in the chat. So if you could go ahead and download that. The first thing that we are going to start with, just to kind of preface this, is we will have a handout and we'll be working with the PowerPoint example as well. So if you have that ready, that's going to be referenced pretty soon. But other than that, we'll go ahead and get started. So again, hello, hi, thank you for joining us. This is Access to Accessibility, Diversifying Your Training with PowerPoint. And as I mentioned before, you can follow along using the handout. Down here in the right-hand corner, there will be a page number as we go along so that you can follow along in the handout and reference that as we go. My name is Lindsay Lawrence. I'm an instructional designer with an online safety training company in Denver. Thank you.
I'm Carrie Boreski, and I'm going to be starting a new position as a training specialist on Monday.
My name is Daniel Beatty. I'm an instructional designer in Boulder, Colorado. Thanks for joining.
And I'm Shina Gill, and I'm a curriculum designer from Corvallis, Oregon.
All right. And again, welcome. All right, thank you for joining us in Zoom. Zoom is a really fun webinar tool. It has a lot of great features. If you aren't familiar with them, we wanted to go over a few of them so that you are able to participate with us, some of the interactions. We've been able to test our audio before, but go ahead and at this point, go ahead. Can you see down here on the left? That's where our mute button is. Your mute button is actually not on that image, but a little below it. If you could just mute and unmute your microphone right now, just to practice. Okay, great. And then the next thing that I'd really like to point out is the Manage Participants. In that, if you go ahead and click Manage Participants down on the bottom of your screen, that will open up and you can see the list of participants. And you also have an option there to raise your hand. It's sort of at the bottom of that. Could everybody go ahead and raise their hand for me? Tell me that you found that. So that right there is just sort of a way to, kind of interact with us and let us know either if you have a question or as we're voting saying who has experience with this, who doesn't. It's just a nice little way to interact. But the most important one is our chat. So just to show everybody knows how to use the chat, go ahead and go down to the bottom where there's a chat screen, that chat. click on that and say hello. Okay. And take a look. You can see if you are posting to everyone or if you're posting privately. You can go ahead and change that either way. Go ahead, when you're under managed participants, everybody go ahead and lower your hand. That way, if you do have a question, when you raise your hand, it notifies us. All right. There are a few other things for interactions. We aren't going to be utilizing them, so I'll go ahead and go forward from here. So before we start talking about accessibility, we want to know where you stand with accessibility in e-learning. So we have a poll. It has 2 questions on it. If you want to go ahead and answer those for us, please.
Okay, looks like we're just waiting on one participant. We'll give it a couple more seconds before we end the poll.
Yeah, no pressure though. Okay. Well, and so far what it really looks like is that a level of knowledge on accessibility, for the most part, at least half of you said good or less. Only one person feels very comfortable with accessibility. So that's good. We hope we're going to have a lot of information for you. And what we see is that Microsoft PowerPoint is probably one of the most common authoring tools out there, which really perfectly leads us into the next slide. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and close this out. We're all done with that. Okay, so why start with PowerPoint? This is a very, very common thing for people to start with in e-learning, and so that's partially why we're going to be starting with that. PowerPoint is very common, a starting point for learning and training needs. A lot of times, as instructional designers, we will receive PowerPoint slides, and sometimes we'll start developing our e-learning with PowerPoint slides, and many reasons for that, including that it has features that help with 508 compliance. It can be saved in many forms for content delivery, and it's compatible with other authoring programs like Articulate Storyline and Captivate. So I said 508 compliance. What is that? And what is accessibility? I keep using this term. Well, accessibility means simply the ability for everyone to have full access to learning modules regardless of special needs or disabilities, which means nobody should have to miss important information in a learning module or any form of technology because they can't see or hear it. And that has actually been signed into law, Section 508 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973. It's a law mandating that all electronic technology developed or used by the government is accessible to people with disabilities. So if someone can't hear, they need to have some form of closed captioning available. Those who can't see very well, there needs to be some form of explanation for a screen reader for them to identify the visually important information. And then another very important thing to consider is not just legal considerations for people with disabilities, but when you are training somebody, they could have any range of learning styles. They could learn better through audiovisual. Maybe they learn better through reading. Maybe they learn best by interacting. So that's another thing you definitely need to consider, and PowerPoint definitely allows you to do that. Okay, so how are we going to apply that today? After participating today, you're going to be able to check your learning materials that you create in PowerPoint for accessibility. You're also going to learn how to transform a PowerPoint into different formats so that you can deliver it for different learning styles. And you'll also learn how to include accessibility features in those learning materials. Okay. All right, so if you have this available, go ahead and open up your PowerPoint example. All right, does everybody have that open? Or does anyone need another moment to get to that? All right, so think about this. The idea here is that this is a PowerPoint that you want to save, that you want to train people with. The big picture here. So close your eyes and imagine. You're the head of training for a national retail chain. You probably make a lot of money with that too. But they take a lot of pride in hiring a diverse workforce. So that means all of your training is going to be taken by those with auditory or visual disabilities. Okay, so your task. You have to create training for a new product. It's important that you consider various learning styles in that, and it is absolutely important that you include accessibility for learning and hearing impaired, or visually and hearing impaired. Okay, so first, Carrie is going to start us off by showing us how to check a PowerPoint for color blindness compatibility and also for alt text. So if you go ahead and look at that PowerPoint, take it away, Carrie.
Okay, thank you, Lindsay. Hi, everyone. I'm going to go over how to check your PowerPoint for accessibility. So if you want to take a look at your handout, page number 3, and follow along, I'm going to take this example PowerPoint that we have for our client and check for accessibility. So first thing I'm going to do is go to File, and I'm going to go down to Check for Issues. And I'm going to click on that and look down to Check for Accessibility. So after I do that, I'm looking at my PowerPoint, and on the right-hand side of my screen is a dialog box that will show errors and warnings for accessibility. So what I want to do is go ahead and fix those errors. So I'm going to click on right here under errors, it says missing alternative text. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And if I scroll down, it will tell me why I need to fix it. And it goes on to say alternative text for images and other objects is very important for people who can't see the screen. Screen readers read alternate text aloud, so it's the only information many have about the image. So, and it gives you the steps on how to fix that. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do that. What you do is click on the object that needs the alternate text. And so I'm going to click on the tent and click on Format. And then it opens up this dialog box. And I'm going to click on Size and Properties. And then you see the text box. Let's see. Oops, sorry. Let's go back to this one. Missing alternative text. And text box. Oh, here we go. Alternative text. Sorry about that. You would just click on the title and just type in tent. And then you can write a description of that tent right here in that text box. And that's how you would fix that. The next thing we're going to look at for accessibility is we're actually going to turn this PowerPoint slide into an image. So if you can refer to your handout, page number 5, we're going to check this PowerPoint for color blindness. So first we're going to change this PowerPoint into a JPEG. And so how to do that, we're going to click on File, Save As, and on the Save As type, click on that drop-down menu and look for the JPEG. And I'm going to save that. And then I want you to look at the website colorblindness.com. And you're going to go to colorblindness.com. And they have a tool here. Go ahead and you would click on Simulator. And to check our image for color blindness, or how someone with color blindness would see this image, I'm going to upload that picture from the PowerPoint. And then here you can see that our texts are kind of, it doesn't really stand out. You can click on any of these different ways that people with visual impairments or color blindness may see this image. So you can scroll through here and check your PowerPoint, and it really gives you a good idea of what the learner can see that may have color blindness. This is what it looks like through their eyes. So after we've, are there any questions about that tool? Okay. So next thing we're going to do is create mobile-friendly PDFs with our PowerPoint. So instead of just simply going in and, first let me go in and I'm going to do the checking for issues again, check that accessibility, because we've gone to that website to see what someone with color blindness would maybe see. And then how do we want to change that to make it better? So to change that, we can just go into the PowerPoint, and change that font and make sure that it's more readable for our learners. And then you would just go in and change those so that those letters stand out, that font stands out a little bit more. The next example that I'm going to do, I'm going to show you how to create a PDF from your PowerPoint. Creating a PDF from a PowerPoint is a relatively straightforward task. However, there are design decisions to take into account in your PowerPoint design so it doesn't become a nightmare. In this example, you will learn how to create a PDF and the various types of PDFs you can make and how to avoid design mistakes. So we're going to go into that example deck and we're going to actually export. And we're going to create a PDF XPS document so that it's more accessible to online readers for learners that use mobile phones, tablets, and apps. And that will make it more accessible to them. Does anyone have any questions? Thank you.
Yeah, like most.
And Dan, I'm sorry. And then Dan will now show you how how to create a video from your PowerPoint.
Yeah.
Great, thanks, Carrie. I really appreciate that. What I'm doing now is I should be sharing my screen of the PowerPoint that we've been using. And I just wanted to pull up this slide to introduce my demo. So at this point, where we're at is we've tried to be creating some, let's see, why isn't my, can you guys not see my screen anymore?
Correct.
Okay. Okay, so up to this point in our big picture, we've created a PDF that's going to be used for mobile readers. That's really important if you're from a phone. Not all readers can read PDFs made the traditional file save as way. So that's a nice tip I really like. And now we're going to try to create an alternative source of information for them in a video. And basically what I want to mention is that you have the ability to create videos from PowerPoint, and it acts as a good substitute for live training, especially catering to other learning preferences. But the problem is, by default, the videos that PowerPoint can make are extremely boring for you, because in the settings on export, it's really just 5-second slides that are static, and there's not much excitement about that. So in this example, using our example PowerPoint deck, I'm going to show you guys how to add narration, animation, and timing to your PowerPoint to make it more engaging video content for your hard worked on presentation. And knowing and being aware that this is possible will hopefully start to influence the way that you approach designing your own PowerPoint presentations, knowing that it is something that you can offer as not only an alternative learning source, but something that can be engaging. So I invite you all to turn to page 7 of your handouts to follow along with my example, as well as move over to the example PowerPoint that we've shared out. And now you should be seeing my screen of that example PowerPoint deck. So what's happening here is, if you guys were curious and were poking around with it before, you'll notice that there are some things set up in here, and there's a couple of these slides. If I go to animations, for example, and click on the animation pane that's found over here, you'll see that I've kind of coded this a little bit. So after this is over, I encourage you to explore what's been done so you can learn a couple more animations and things like that. But we're going to work with the front slide here because there's not much going on with it. And we're going to go through the process of how to make this slide more engaging. And then when it's done, you'll have a really engaging video because I've done the other slides for you as well. So the first step on my page of the handout on step 1 is we're going to add audio. And that's because we want to add narration to this video that's going to be playing back. And knowing ahead of time that I was going to be making a video, I took advantage of the notes area of PowerPoint to kind of give myself a little script for this video. So now when I record my audio, all I have to do is go to Insert up at the top of PowerPoint and go to Audio. And I'm going to do Record Audio. And basically what's going to happen is it's starting to record. And if I was a professional, I'd be trying to get ready and really set before my recording. But I'm proving to you that it's really easy to edit even after you've hit record. So I'm going to just read my script on the bottom. Hi, and thanks for coming to our webinar. We hope you enjoy this PowerPoint deck as an example of something you could use to create your own videos from. Then I'm going to hit stop and I'm going to hit OK. And that's going to give me this audio file right here. And if I go and play it back, it's going to be everything that I've been saying, which I don't want. I want to trim this. So I'm just going to trim that audio to the area that I know I was talking in, which is just this last part. And it's actually starting right about here. So I do okay on that. Now I've got the actual audio clip I need, but I don't want to stop there because it would just be in the middle of my slide. It's not really set up properly. I got to take care of that. So in the step 2, apply audio settings, you just click on your audio, you go to playback, and you'll notice up here it's going to start automatically on click. We want to start on click. We want to change that to automatically. And if we select hide during show, what that does is it makes this invisible on playback. And I maybe just have trust issues. I still like to move that off the screen down below. So when I look at this back, it's not even showing up in my previews. And I gotta move this to the front of the slide. So I drag the audio that's over here in my pane and I bring it to the top. And then I just make sure that when I play it back under animations, it starts with previous. That just starts it right away. And now when I play this back, you can't hear it, but I've recorded this and it's working with the other animations on the screen. Now, that might have been a little intense. I just want to point out that we want to add animations, of course, and it wouldn't be the right way to show a video if I didn't show you how to animate. And that's really easy to do on any object that you're using in PowerPoint. You just want to click on it and you'll notice that you have an animations ability up here at the top. So we're going to try to keep this simple and just take something on the slide that hasn't been animated yet. In this case, it's this key points 1, 2, and 3. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to click on one of them and I'm going to hit up here for animate. And let's do maybe fly in. Yeah, but not from there, maybe from the right-hand side. Yeah, that looks better. And I like that, so if I copy the next 2, I can do the same thing. So they're all that way. And then on the animations tab, I'm not allowed to click on anything when I'm making a video. I'm gonna have to have all of this go automatically. So I gotta make sure that in that area, I've clicked on everything and I've made it not with clicks. And then I'm just gonna move them along the timeline here. I can drag them. I can use the bar up here, move them around, but essentially what I'm doing right now is just making it so it's all nice and pretty. And at any time I want, I can just kind of play that back and see if I've made any mistakes. And it looks pretty good to me. And so now that I've added the narration and the animation, I'm almost done. I'm moving on to step 4 right now of this example. That's add slide transitions, because guess what? If I go to File and I go to Export to make this video, it's going to use the recorded timings and narrations I set up, but if there's nothing there, it's going to make every slide 5 seconds. And I'm talking in every one of these slides, and I'm not talking for the same amount of time in each one of these slides. So I got to make sure that I add maybe a second to the transition of each slide longer than each one of my recorded audio. So these are all set up, but on this first slide, I noticed that the audio is about 6.5 seconds long. So what I do is I go to transitions on this slide, and I don't do on mouse click, I do after, and what did I say it was? About 6.5. So let me just do 7.5. And what that does is sets up this nice little pause after I'm done before the next slide kicks in, and so on. So I've gotten to step 4. I've been able to add audio, change the settings, animate the slide, do it how I like, and then change the transitions as well. So I am making this look more and more like a video and less like a slide. So it's time to export it. And depending on your PowerPoint version, when you go to File and Export to create your video, you're going to get something like presentation quality, or you're going to see HD. The only thing to point out here is just be aware that however you're creating your video, if it's going on a big screen, you may want a HD version, or presentation quality in my case. But if it's going to a mobile device or to an app where data amounts and file sizes are important, or if you're just having this being reviewed in your office, you may just want to create a smaller video file. The other thing I want to point out just before I click that create video is that this is a really short presentation. So there's no really reason for me to make this more than one video, but I'm very aware, and as you all are, that micro-learning is a thing. So if you're making your PowerPoints into videos, think about how you would design them for nice breaks between sections, so you could also export your video in sections to create smaller bite-sized chunk videos. So with that in mind, I'm going to File, Export, create a video. I'm choosing, in this case, low quality, because I want my demo to end in the time that I've been given. And I'm using the recorded timings and narrations of my presentation. So now when I go to create video, I choose which one I want, save it in my files, and you'll know your video is done because right down here on the bottom is this little progress of your video rendering. And at the end of the day, you'll have a video of your entire PowerPoint presentation. And that concludes my demo. Are there any questions before I pass it on to anyone else?
Great.
All right.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dan. Before we get to Shaina, who's going to present about adding closed captions, I just wanted to very quickly cover alt text. We had intended to cover it earlier, and I kind of just rushed through everything. So alt text is something that we had had you look for in our icebreaker. Alt text it stands for alternative text, and it is text that is used in place of an image or link that a screen reader or something that is helping someone who has a visual impairment to look at technology. Alt text is the text that screen reader will read to the visually impaired person instead of having to look at a picture, because they can't get that information from the picture, so they need a description from it. Okay, so I just wanted to make sure that everybody had a quick understanding of that. And so thank you again, Carrie, for creating a PDF from a PowerPoint, which really helps for the type of learner who is visual and can read through it quickly. But for those who really don't get information very well just through reading, or who might use a little bit of visual, thank you, Dan, for showing us how to change that static PowerPoint into an active image with sound. Okay, so then what happens if you're considering those who can't hear very well, if they are not going to be able to get the information from that video that was recorded with sound? Well, Shaina is going to go ahead and cover that. Take it away, Shaina.
Thank you, Lindsay. To continue off of what Dan just showed us with the video that he created, I am going to demonstrate how you can generate automatic closed captions with YouTube on that video that he created. So when thinking about our big picture, we are imagining that we are responsible for training for a national retail chain that prides itself on hiring a diverse workforce, including those with auditory and visual impairments. Including captions should be a necessary step then in the production of our training videos. You may or may not be aware of the two different types of captions. There are closed captions and there are open captions. closed captions are saved to the video as a completely separate track, and they can be turned on or off using the CC button on a video player. Whereas open captions, they're permanently embedded into a video, so they're permanently in view to the user and they cannot be turned on or off. So YouTube is one of the easiest ways to generate closed captions and a file that can be used in other applications. So YouTube has a really good program that maybe not a lot of people know about, where if you upload a video to YouTube with audio, obviously somebody talking, it will generate an automatic caption file for it. So then after it's published, you can go in then and make edits to it if necessary. And because closed captions are on a completely separate track, this means that you can save that file and export it into another application, such as Storyline 360. And this is one of the easiest ways that a lot of e-learning professionals use in order to obtain a caption track to use elsewhere. So right now, I just want to ask everybody, how many of you have ever used the automatic closed captioning feature on YouTube? You can either raise your hand or type into chat or take yourself off mute and respond. Looks like 2 people have raised their hand. So it looks like not a lot of people have ever used this or know about it. So this is a really good thing. I'll be able to show you guys something new. So in this example, I am going to demonstrate 3 things. How to add automatic closed captioning to a YouTube video, how you can turn closed captioning on or off of a YouTube video, and then how you can save and export the caption track file. So let's begin with automatically generating closed captions. So can everybody see my browser open to YouTube?
Yes.
Okay. So for the purpose of this video, I am not going to upload a video and show you the process of them being generated, because that would take, it could take upwards of 5 minutes or more. And I just want to preface this also by saying that the longer and more complicated your video is, the longer it will take YouTube to generate these captions. So after you've uploaded your video to YouTube, you'll want to access it within your video manager. And to get to the video manager, you want to go to the right-hand side of your screen to where your account icon is. So in my case, it says S. And you'll want to click that and then go down to Creator Studio, where it will open up so you can get to the video manager. So you want to go to the left-hand side here and click Video Manager, and it will give you the list of all the videos that you have uploaded. So in this case, I uploaded Dan's video that he created from PowerPoint. So the first step is very important after you've uploaded your video to YouTube. In order for YouTube to know what language you need these generated into, you'll want to click on the video. And then once you're in here, on the upper right, you'll want to click the CC subtitles link right here, where my cursor is. And once you do that, it won't do it now for me, but it will have a pop-up window that will ask you what language. And there's a lot of different languages. I think there's upwards of 188 or 189 on here. So in my case, I did English because Dan was speaking in English. So once you've done that, after you've told it what language, it will actually do its thing. And it could take a while, So what I would recommend is that you just go back out to Video Manager and just wait a while. Go do something else. It just depends. But then you'll want to go back in. Let's pretend it's been 5 minutes. You'll click on Subtitle CC, and the file that YouTube makes, it will say automatic. So this one right here is the original file of generated captions that YouTube made. So I'm just going to click this to open up the captions. And to edit the captions and to see them a little bit more clear, I'm just going to click Edit right above the video. And you can see that a lot of the punctuation in these caption tracks, these are the tracks on the left-hand side here, you'll see that a lot of the punctuation and the capitalization is not right. So we will get to that in a little bit. I will show you how to change that. So let's just click Save Changes and go back out. So from what I've done, just to speed things up to show you, I've already went in and edited, it just overwrote it, so I will just show you. Okay, so in order to edit the caption tracks, you'll click Edit above the video. And so over here, you'll see that the grammar and the punctuation that I mentioned was off. So you can fix it right here by just adding a few things, periods, capital letters. And so then what you would want to do is you could go through the video and click play and listen to see if the timing is off. That happens once in a while on here, where you'll just have to fix a little bit of the timing, and it's super easy to do. You just grab under here above the audio timeline, you'll grab the handles on these the caption tracks, and you can grab them and move them to fit the video. And so to do this, it does take a lot of playing the video over and over to just make sure that it's correct. But usually the captions that YouTube generates, they're usually very correct, unless the speaker, of course, has an accent, or maybe there's some background noise. So once you've done all of your edits and you're ready to publish, then you would click Save Changes and publish. So then this file down here that just says English, this is the one that you have edited and the one that you would want to use on your YouTube video. So another thing is showing you how to turn subtitles and closed captions on and off. And this is a pretty universal symbol for closed captioning. It says CC. And to turn it on, you just want to click this until the red line is under the icon. And I'll just show you by playing it. You can see the captions right there. And then to turn the closed captioning off, you just click it again. It's very easy. So the last thing I want to show you is how to generate a caption track file so that you can save it and then export it to a different program. So you want to click the file that you just worked on. So in this case, it's English. So right above all the caption tracks, there's this little button that says Actions. So you'll want to click that and then scroll down, and underneath Download, you have several options of how you want to download it. And one of the most standard formats for captions to export it into other programs, it's the VTT file. So you just click that and then save file, and it will save to your computer. And that concludes my presentation.
Fabulous. Thank you, Shaina. Okay, I was muted. I forgot. All right. Thank you, Shaina. That was very informative. I saw in chat that a lot of people had been looking forward to hearing about that, which was really neat. So now we know how to take a PowerPoint and change it into a printable format. We know how to change it into a format that's great for audio-visual learners. And we know how to add closed captioning to that video so that anyone with any hearing disabilities are able to follow along. Okay, well now we're moving on to creating an e-learning module from PowerPoint using Storyline. Raise your hand under Manage Participants if you have had any experience with using Storyline, Articulate Storyline, or Captivate, any e-learning authoring tools. Okay. Oh, great. Not too many, it looks like. Okay. Well, Storyline is, I'm going to go ahead and show you how to export this PowerPoint into Storyline. However, other e-learning software works for that as well. So if you happen to have Storyline 360 on your computer, we included a story file that you can open that is an exported version of this PowerPoint so that you can follow along. It's not necessary. Also, if you'd like to follow along on your handout, that's on page 12. Okay? And so using Storyline 360, what I'm going to show you how to do today is how to import slides from PowerPoint and how to take that imported slide deck and check for alt text and the tab order so you can actually see exactly how a screen reader is going to read that. So you can alter it so it doesn't take up too much information. So it's a lot cleaner and not full of extra information like rectangle 1, rectangle 2. Okay. And then I will also show you how to very quickly and easily now add closed captioning to any audio that you have created with that. So with that, I am going to go ahead and switch on over to Storyline. If you happen to have Storyline, go ahead and open that so you can participate with us. Okay. Can you see my Storyline screen at this point?
Yes, we can, Lindsay.
Super, thank you. Okay, so when you open up Storyline, you're going to have a blank screen, and you can go ahead and just, I have set it up to be the 16:9 size because that's how we take have the video importing. And I would just like to import information from PowerPoint. Okay. And as you can see here, this looks a lot like PowerPoint. It has the same design ribbon up top, you know, insert, slides, design. So you can, there's the animation tab. The really neat thing about Storyline down here is this extra bit of information. There's the timeline, which I'll point out when information comes on that because it makes it a lot easier for animations. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is import. So just go up to File in the top left-hand screen here, go down to Import, and you can import all sorts of information that you have created in different files and forms. PowerPoint is a very common one. So then when you do that, it's going to open up your File Explorer. Once you do that, the Insert Slides window will come up. As you can see, all of the slides are selected at first. You could either select none of them, one or two of them. You can select all, which is what we're doing in this case. I'm going to insert this into a new scene, but it doesn't really matter which one. If you know what I'm talking about by scenes, it's just another section. And this is the title that it's going to give. Click import, and then you get to wait. Storyline is a pretty complex program, so it does take a little bit of time, which is why I have gone ahead and given you the file ahead of time. So we're going to pretend like we're a nifty cooking show. Why isn't this canceling? It won't let me do anything else until I've canceled it. And I have a new... Oh, apologies for the wait on this. Oh no! Oh, this is fun. Sorry, guys. Does anyone have any magic suggestions for getting this to work or to stop? There we go, yay. All right, so now that everything is done cooking in the oven, voila, here we go. We have an imported screen. As you can see, here's the first slide, the second slide. The slide deck is on the left. Now the neat thing is, on the bottom here in this timeline, do you notice that the product name comes in at 2 seconds? The key points fly in later. It's a really fun, It's a really fun way and simple way to work with the animations on there. Okay, so now that you have this image, what are you going to do to make sure that when you produce this, it is going to be accessible to other learners? Well, that's when you check under the home, tab order, right here. This right here will open a screen that shows you exactly what somebody is going to hear from a screen reader. This is pretty much the screen reader text for you. So when you open this up, you have 4 things to consider. The left column is what a screen reader is going to read, just automatically if you haven't set anything up. There's a lot of information in here that the user does not need. And it's full of extras that are just going to take up space on that screen reader. So that's where you put in alternate text. The right column is what the screen reader will read if you are not using, or if you're using alternate text. So I'm going to add some alternate text to this tent. Using your chat, what would be something descriptive that I could put in for this tent? So go ahead and use your chat. Should I just put in tent? Would that be helpful for someone who can't really see? If they wanted to, okay, ooh, 2-person pop-up tent, yellow tent, backpacking tent, big Agnes tent, dome tent, yellow family tent. These are great, and these are really great because these are not extremely long explanations as well. I noticed that a couple of them were really neat. So we're going to put yellow dome tent. Now, when a screen reader reads this, it won't say product intro picture. It will say image of a yellow dome tent. In addition, one last thing to consider is the tab order. You can create a custom tab order and you can move things around. You can also remove things. So the text box definitely needs to be red. But does that rectangle? Probably not. So we can remove that, rectangles, and so on. When you're done with that, click Save, and then you can go on to the next slide. Okay. So now if you want to add any closed captioning to that, sorry, I kind of don't want to take up too much of your time, so I'm going to rush through this. Now if you want to add closed captioning for those who have audio difficulties, that's a very neat feature that is new to Storyline 360, and it is very simple to get to. Just select the item on the timeline that you want to add closed captioning to, because it needs to be attached to some form of audio. And then up on the top, you'll see options. That's only there when you have audio selected. So you have to select that first, go to options, and right there you have add captions and import. You can do that right here on your imported slides. However, I also went ahead and imported that video that Dan exported. And we happen to have a closed caption file that Shina created. So we're lucky and don't have to type in the captions by hand. Under options, I select that video. Options, this is the captions area. I will import some captions. VTT is one of the accessible files. Select that, and your captions appear. If you open the captions editor, you can see that the captions have appeared under the audio. Well, looks like that might not be the right file. So I'm going to delete captions. Captions example, that's the right one. There we go. And you see how those lengths, you can go ahead and change the amount of time that each caption lasts. Okay. You can also go ahead and edit them manually right here. Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and say thank you for joining us with that. I'm going to close that up and go back to this screen. So for those of you who have not had much of a chance to work with e-learning authoring tools, you've had a chance to see what some of those offer. Are there any questions today? It looks like no questions. Thank you so much for joining us. This was a great evening of talking about accessibility features and exporting to various delivery formats. We know it was quick, but you have a handout now to refer to when you try this again. So be sure to save that to your computer. And there's also a post-webinar survey. If you could go ahead and open that, we will also send it out, but if you could open that and send it in when you get a chance, that would be great. Right.
Thank you all very much for coming to our webinar. We really appreciate your participation.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
And have a great night.
Thanks. Good night.
Good night.
Thanks, Christina.
Thank you. I'm going to stop recording now, guys.
Great.
Is it okay? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, we were supposed to record this?
I actually just made Shina the
Just
host,
kidding.
though. Shina, you may have to do it.